All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. As always, I'm Andrew.
And I'm here to dig deep into the stories of the week and to bring you the truth.
The stories of the week, you know.
Maybe.
All the week?
We'll see how it goes.
We're only into Wednesday. That's a pretty short week.
Busy week, a lot of stories.
That is very true. There's a lot of stories. And there's stories and then there's stories. And I have a feeling I know what we'll be talking about probably early on in the podcast. But first off, bit of, like, how you doing? How have you been?
We're doing the how you doing?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just head down studying. That's all I do. Work and study.
I dig it.
But I'm ahead of track this week, which is good.
Yeah? You're ahead of yourself?
Ahead of myself this week.
Ahead of the curve, ahead of yourself.
So I've got the rest of the week now to just kind of refresh what I've already done.
I like it.
So just learn all about Amsterdam and the Netherlands.
Yeah?
So I can tell you everything.
Well, whenever I go, I'll just take you with me and, you know, you'll pay for yourself, of course.
Wait.
I'm not paying for you.
I don't know if this is part of the deal.
I just want free tour guiding. Do you know what I mean?
Can't offer you that.
No, but not when you're at work.
No, can't offer you that.
Really?
Very strict laws about you've got to be a locally licensed tour guide.
No. You're misunderstanding. I'm not asking for an official tour. I'm asking for the tour.
Yeah, I know.
Where, like,
I know.
We go on holiday
tour,
together, and it's not illegal for you to do, right? If you have knowledge of shit in Amsterdam, that if me and you were on a trip together in Amsterdam, right, and we happened to be stood outside Anne Frank's house, for example, one of the big things in Amsterdam to do, if you've got some Anne Frank house knowledge, they can't go, whoa, sir.
Yeah.
Stop right there.
The bouncers did tell you, though, that you can't do that shit in our house. So I'm not sure you'd be welcome back.
All I wanted to do was play a game of hide and seek, Jake.
But I think the implied thing was that you'd keep your clothes on.
It was that or bogeys I wanted to play.
How disrespectful would it be to play bogeys in Anne Frank's house? I mean, also
incredibly disrespectful.
Very small space.
Yeah.
Do you remember that dream? Do you remember that? I don't know. No, you won't remember, but I told you about a dream I had once. About
Here we go.
About
nice
visiting.
Way to start the podcast.
About visiting the Anne Frank Museum.
Right.
And I went inside, and because obviously they were cramped into like the attic.
Yeah. Wasn't it a fairly large attic though?
Oh, it was relatively small. It was a big family though.
Yeah.
And I remember looking around at all the furniture, and I said, "My goodness, if these people never heard of natural daylight or something to that effect."
It's so dark.
I was criticising their interior design.
Yeah.
In their little shack of an attic
Well, look,
where they were trying to
they
survive.
had time to decorate.
Yeah, if anything, exactly. They
you know
could have been.
I mean, this is not where I expected the podcast to go early doors. I just pulled out the Anne Frank house as an example. What other sites are you allowed to tell me what sites there are in Amsterdam, or is that forbidden?
Well, there's some of the obvious ones, aren't there?
I don't know Amsterdam that well. I know they've got canals.
Well, the red light district is pretty.
That? Can you call that like a?
What, a site?
Yeah.
I think so. You know, it's particularly at night when you walk through and you've got all the windows lit up.
I've not been there, Jake. And it's, do you know me? I'm a wholesome man. I'm not into any of that shenanigans.
Well, not after what the judge said.
Not after my lawyers told me to stop talking about it on the podcast.
But there's tips and tricks to navigating the red light district.
Yeah. But no, seriously, you're not allowed to, you couldn't take me round Amsterdam.
No, I mean, as like a one-on-one, if no one knew.
What if there was a group of us, like mates?
No, you risk being
really
punished. Yeah.
What if it looks like you're?
Yeah.
So we've got to keep it looking informal.
We've got to
stand
behind
us
very informal. Yeah.
You can't look at anything. You've got to be looking the opposite way to what we are.
Yeah.
And then that's the signal. You'll be like, wherever my back is facing, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Look, I've already figured a way around the system.
I'm glad you're here. And I really think our tour company's going to take off.
And if we really wanted to, right, we could wear like little earpieces so like we can really make it more low key. And
I could just whisper to you.
Exactly. And if anything,
it's more sensual.
It is, and it will probably get me in more trouble for having an absolute rager.
I mean, yeah,
in the middle of Anne Frank's house.
Yeah, exactly. What you don't want is
or in the middle of the attic, more likely.
Plus, whilst the tone is very sensual of my dulcet voice,
yeah,
it might not be as appropriate to give it and her and her whole family were shipped off to concentration camps where most of them died. except for the father who came back and tried to restart his business.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I never read the book.
Struggled to get it off the ground. But the house where they where his businesses were set up, they ended up being bought by a company called Berghaus who wanted to develop the site.
Isn't that like a famous place in Germany?
Well, they wanted to knock it down, but
Germany.
they wanted to knock it down and redevelop the whole site. And in 1957, the Anne Frank House
Made it
organisation came together, and they managed to get it.
I think that's
They
good.
managed to buy it, save it, and redo it. So then in 1960, they could open it as the museum.
It's one of those places, a bit like, this will sound weird, and we've sort of had this conversation before, like the concentration camps, that I feel like they're almost places you should go.
Here's something about the Anne Frank Museum, though, if you want to go.
Yeah.
As soon as you book your trip to the Netherlands or to Amsterdam, book the Anne Frank Museum. It is
busy.
sold out about 2 or 3 months in advance. Because it's not like a national gallery where you can have thousands of people traipsing through every day. It's very limited. So and everyone wants to go there.
Yeah.
So it's really, you've really got to plan ahead on that one.
What do you think attracts people to stuff like that?
I think it's...
Because I don't quite understand my, like, hanging to go to one of these places to sort of see the...
I think it's, we all like being... I think a lot of people like being able to sort of reach out and touch history.
Yeah.
And that is a particularly prominent part of history because of how sad it was. And I think most people who go, consciously, semi-consciously, subconsciously, go because they want to remember what happened. They want to...
And I think it also helps contextualise how lucky we are in a lot of ways as well. And I think it lends a lot of perspective. Like I can't imagine what the experience is like.
I think perspective is probably a good word for it.
Yeah.
I think.
Because I think when we discussed the camps previously, I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it's the perspective of seeing the amounts of some of the things like shoes, glasses was one for you. It just, because you can't actually quantify in your head, you can't visualise a crowd that large, so to see that must be quite humbling. And
like I said, I think I was really grateful, and that sounds really odd, and it makes me sound a bit wanky if I'm honest, but let's be honest, if either one of us was going to come across wanky on this pod,
I do it quite often. I do it quite often.
It's going to be me.
It's your turn for once.
But when we went to Auschwitz and it was really cold, and obviously particularly when you get to Auschwitz 2 in Birkenau, and it's like, the open air thing, so it's even more exposed. And
how far away from each other are they?
It's about 10 minutes or so on the bus, on the shuttle bus.
So they're within a...
Yeah, they're relatively close. I mean, there were quite a lot of Auschwitz camps. Like, it extended outwards.
I didn't know that.
No, nor did I.
I would have assumed it was just one.
Nor did I till I've been there. So Auschwitz was a military compound. It was a barracks.
Yeah.
That then they had the prisoners build upwards in the barracks to turn them into the places, to where they'd all stay and do experiments and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And then Auschwitz 2 Birkenau was like the first one where they opened it up, and it was like, no, this is just field huts and gas chambers, incinerators, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then they just extended onwards, but they're the only two that are kind of like preserved.
Yeah.
But when we did it, and it was like I think it was maybe 0. Felt like -4, when your phone tells you what it feels like.
Yeah.
I think it felt like -4, -5. And it was cold.
Yeah.
I mean, when we first went out of the entrance into the first bit of the camp, and our tour guide had like his snood on, and he like pulled it up, and we're like, oh, mate, come on. And then we're like, oh no, he was right, it's fucking cold. This guy knows. Why did we ever question it? But part of me thought, I'm actually really glad that it's this cold, because particularly when, he was like telling us,
more into perspective,
when he was telling us, that if they would have to stand outside and do roll call, and if someone had died in the night or tried to escape in the night, they could be out there for 20 hours.
Yeah, just
standing
in the
there,
freezing cold, probably wearing very
just
little.
the stripy pajamas,
Yeah.
So it really, again, it's that word perspective. It allowed me to be able to visualize it and not quite put myself in their shoes, but you could you got a glimpse into what the conditions. You really start to appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. It's a weird thing to say, but I have a lot of respect for the German society at large that it's something
they're open about.
that they're still willing to.
Although what's mad is that they're so open about that part of their history, and particularly like in Berlin.
Yeah.
Like I highly recommend anyone, if you're in Berlin, to go to the Topography of Terrors Museum. Fully recommended.
Yeah. Does it sort of like highlight how it?
It literally starts from the rise of the Nazis, but it starts from in Germany. In Berlin. So in Berlin, whilst Nazism caught fire around the rest of the country, Berlin was kind of like, for the longest time, it's a bit like almost London. If anything happens around the country, it's like, now go and fuck yourself. We're too liberal for you wankers. But slowly it crept in, and then it talks about not just obviously the way Jewish people were persecuted in the 20s and the 30s, but also how political rivals were persecuted, how gay people were persecuted, how anyone. There was just so many people, and and that's all kind of outside, and then you go inside, and it covers quite extensively the concentration camps and the war itself. But for a country that's so open about its history in that side of things, it's mad that they seem so supportive of Israel at the moment in their attack on Palestine.
Do you think that's because of their history, though?
No, I think that's in spite of it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Because I can't understand. I mean,
because they're not the only country that's supportive of it.
No, I don't. I mean, it does feel like the dial's starting to move a little bit, doesn't it? Like you're hearing more murmurs about governments being less and less comfortable with what's going on, and
Well, I think the reason is as well is that people are making it really clear
that we're not happy about it.
They're not happy about it, and like for all this, for those large vocal number of people online, Jewish people who are saying, calling everyone supporting it anti-Semitic and saying, "Oh, we don't feel comfortable." Actually, a large number of Jewish people and groups are at these rallies, are vocalising their support for Palestine.
Oh, absolutely! I'm seeing more and more online of Jewish groups and different people of the Jewish faith all supporting the marches and being a part of it. And I think that's what's worried me a little bit, is this desperation to label them as Islamist marches and hate marches and stuff like that. We all know that's not what's going on.
Can we just say, by the way, while mentioning Islam, a big good luck to everyone partaking in Ramadan.
Yep.
Which has just kicked off.
Because they'll be fasting, and it's quite a challenging time.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely can be.
No, I was really fortunate to work with a guy called Daniel quite a few years ago, who was Muslim, and he was partaking in fasting, so we accommodated it at work so that
that's
he could
what we
go
do
and
with our
pray
guys
and
at
things
work.
like that. And I was just genuinely really curious. I didn't know anything about it, and
we adjust their working hours because obviously they're up really early to eat.
Yeah, and he was doing 1 till 10, so he needed to be able to, I can't remember what the situation was, but he needed to be able to go pray, then break fast at a certain time, and then he came back, and he was more than happy to do it, and he was happy that it was accommodated. But no, I was more fascinated than anything else. Do you know what I mean? But no, good luck to everyone out there. Hope it goes well for him.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing, but I just
yeah,
I hope everyone that's partaking does get what they want out of it. Yeah. It does feel like they've achieved and succeeded.
Yeah, and I've listened to there's 2 YouTubers, they're called Chunks and Philly, and one of them, Chunks, is a practicing Muslim. And when he talks about Ramadan and when he went on pilgrimage to, I believe it was Mecca, it would have been Mecca, and what that does for them and how it refuels them and re-energises them, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I was learning about how, not everyone has to partake.
No.
Because the thing that it suddenly occurred to me, and I'd never asked this before, some things goes without saying, like young kids, you wouldn't expect to participate. I imagine that's a conversation you have as parents to say, at what point do we start, introducing them and whatever. The particularly elderly, pregnant women.
Not a good idea to go long.
But what I asked, because I said, well, what happens if you get like a really horrendous bug or a really bad infection or even just a bad cold or flu or something? And I was asking my Muslim colleague at work this week, and he was saying, like, no, if you're ill, you're not expected to participate. It's absolutely fine to, not trying to kill.
No, look, as
Trying
I've
to
said
kill 'em.
before, I think if people, like, religion at its core isn't a bad thing as far as I'm concerned. It gives people community, it gives them hope, it gives them
Faith.
and faith is a powerful thing.
But it was interesting to me as like
Yeah.
a very white non-Muslim.
Well,
Not that white
it
has
is
anything to do with it, but as a
so
non-Muslim.
foreign to what we were brought up with and what we were. Like, I was raised in a religious primary school. Looking back, it was quite religious. Looking back, there was a lot of
hymns and things.
like every assembly was hymns.
Yeah.
We had a weekly assembly with the local priest, which I've said before. Resist making jokes. We're having a really good run here of having just a nice theological discussion. I don't want you to
I
lower
will
the
not
tone.
lower the tone, although you mentioned priests.
And I'm not a religious person now, but I do genuinely have a lot of time and respect for people who are religious. There are times where I have less respect for it. Like, there's a bloke who comes to my work at the moment, and it started off with he was just this random older guy, right, that would just come up to me and tell me one-liners or jokes, and then would just walk off, basically.
Respect.
Evolved to he was giving me a local comedy magazine, really sweet. We started talking a little bit, nice guy, and then just randomly he dropped into conversation that not only was he religious, but that the current Palestine-Israel conflict was in the book, and that it was prophesized, and that basically the end is nigh.
The end for all of us, or just the end for
Non-believers.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
I just went, and in my head I was like, oh,
Rapture.
that's who you are. And it was such a shame because I went from it, he was just this nice older guy, a bit eccentric, likes telling people jokes, and I was like, that's his in. Do you know what I mean?
It makes him affable. It makes him.
That's why and then instantly it put
charming.
me off of him. So now, like, when I see him, before I would go and approach him, now I'm a bit like, and he's done it a couple of times since. Like, he's reiterated that the conflict is prophesized.
Do you know what though? Would you not make a joke with him, and maybe if you're in the produce area, would you not maybe pick up some items and be like, oh, when's the end? You won't want these. These will be no good.
The thing is that, as you know as well as I do, in a custom, like, you have to be
No,
very
you've
delicate.
got to gauge it incredibly well.
And sadly, like, I think when someone's that religious, it's best not engage.
It usually doesn't go down well.
No, so I just avoid him now, and it's a shame because I thought he was just being a nice, affable guy.
Well, he still was being nice enough. I don't want to take that
but
away
I feel
from him.
like
You feel like he was angling you to
a little bit,
get you on board.
a little bit. And there was this one day when he was chatting to me.
I don't want to take it away from him. I think he was still just being nice. And
Post him bringing up the religion, there happened to be these two other religious people, because they were wearing shirts with religious, like, Christian stuff on it, like the cross, and there were some words, and
I mean, just sum up the Bible in one sentence.
There's a cross and some words. There was wine, water, that was it.
Have you seen that TikTok
That was
skit, by the way?
I might have.
Where they're
describe it.
where they're like, it's like a some dude's playing all the parts, and it's like Jesus does the wine trick at some gathering. Yeah, and he's like,
make a mile back?
It's Merlot again.
Yeah.
It's always Merlot.
I actually
isn't
saw
it?
that today.
I saw it yesterday. It was the first time I'd seen it, but I
Are
quite
we
liked
both
it.
doing the same thing? Are we both using the same TikTok account? Are you using the?
I didn't see it on
CrossingSwords
TikTok.
one?
You're fine.
Okay.
I don't watch TikTok.
Yeah, you'd get a real insight into my weirdness if you just
If I
decide
saw
to
the
watch the
stream.
CrossingSwords. Because I
No,
just
I don't.
started using it without realising.
I don't touch it. You're safe. You can watch whatever weird shit you want to watch on it.
But yeah, it's like, it is scary though, because there's been times like we had a mouldy bath mat, right? And my mum was talking about bleaching it to clean it.
And then you had bleach videos, cleaning videos.
No. I had a video come up about how you should, from this scientist lady, about how you should never bleach mould because it turns into fungus and
Super
the
mould.
spread. And I was like, that's fucking freak. And I'd never seen this person online before, and it just random. And I was like, no, they are listening to everything. So I do make sure now, if I ever make any like really outrageous jokes in private, I preface it by saying, anyone listening to this is a joke. But yeah.
But sorry, I ended our nice theological discussion.
No, that's all right, man. I think we
It's
more or
one-
less discussed it.
I know what you mean. There's definitely something that when someone starts, because it's not so bad when someone just has religious beliefs, but when they want to start imparting them onto you,
yeah,
that's where it becomes a problem for me.
I think for me, it's because, as we've talked about before, I'm a spiritual person. I'm not anywhere near as like into it as I used to be, But like, even when I was, I guess it might be because of the age I was at the time. It's not like you lot weren't into it. Do you know what I mean?
No,
So
we weren't.
it wasn't like I was going to be at the park having a kick around with you guys going, but guys, let's talk about meditation and
Reiki
and trance and this sort of stuff. That's just not. But I feel like, and again, I think the public like idea of that stuff is such a cringy one that it's just, unless someone brings it up to me, and I sort of take that as more of a sign than anything that, oh, I'm meant to talk to this person about it because they've spoken to me. Otherwise, I just don't. But like, part of me is like, maybe because I don't do that, I don't think they should. But maybe that's an unfair expectation.
Well, is it like when people talk? Yeah, when people are religious and that's fine, and they have faith and beliefs, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But when they start trying to impart on you, it's like, look, let's say, Christianity, for example, it's like, let's say you're right. Let's say there's a heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Let's say that I'm going to be damned for all of eternity because of my non-beliefs, or I was going to say my beliefs, my lack of beliefs. Well, you know what? Let me pay the price when I get there. This is my choice now. God gave us free will.
Yeah.
I'm choosing mine to, in your opinion, head to hell. You don't need to save me. I don't want to be saved.
Yeah. Thank you for offering. But I'm all right.
No, not even thank you for offering. I don't offer. I'm good.
Oh, you can be polite.
Okay,
if I want to save you from damnation, Jake.
If I want to ruin my life, I'll ruin my life.
Yeah.
And believe me, I have.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been doing this for a long time now. I'm very good at it.
Do you think our sound effect is the Pope? I suddenly was like, the like really Christian types might be slightly annoyed that we've got a sound effect of the In Nomine Spiritus Sancti.
I don't know. Where did you get it?
Off YouTube. I didn't even check who it was doing. I was just like, I think I literally like Googled Hail Mary and like look.
Please tell me you got a load of like NFL.
I probably did. I think I might have put like Hail Mary religion or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Or Hail Mary, or like priest doing the rites or something like that. And eventually I came across that, but I never actually checked who it was. But yeah, imagine it was the Pope we've just been copywriting this whole time.
God teaches him to forgive.
And God forgives himself.
Catholics and the Pope have been, famously lenient and forgiving in the past.
Especially of their own.
I mean, of their own, definitely.
Yeah.
Of everyone else,
less so.
Maybe.
Less so.
They're
sort of okay with the gays now, though. The Pope has been like, yeah, they're all right.
Has he?
I'm paraphrasing, but he's been like, I can't see why
God would have an issue with gays.
Like, I think it's all right. I've met a few. They seem pretty cool to me. Do you know what I mean? So I think
they quelled the stereotype that we all have of gay men. None of them tried to bum rape me, so I think they're all right.
I'm more worried about the men in
that was such mad
religion.
Casual homophobia that we had at school.
Oh, 100. The thing is, everything was gay. Like, I went to an all-boys school, and the insult to everything, like whether you cried when you fell over or you said mum when you were or dad when you were calling the teacher by mistake, that was always the worst moment. But it was like, oh, you bender! Do you know what I mean?
Like, it's so mad, isn't it? How ingrained that was.
But then what was weird, and it's not weird, it's not a bad, I actually think it was a nice thing that the boys just did, was when some of the guys came out gay in our school, they sort of became like a protected group. Like, if you fucked with them, like, it just wasn't like you would get sorted out sort of thing. So like, it was weird that it went from everything was gay to, but like, we've got to fucking look after them though, haven't we?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Protect the gays.
Do you know what I mean? In an all-boys school that my entire time there had been feral, except in that one instance where it was like, no, we can't bully the gays. And it's good. We shouldn't have, and it's good they protected them, but it's just so...
Is that them...
The cognitive dissonance is...
Is that less them worrying about protecting the gays and more worrying about, I don't want to be seen as homophobic?
Mate, probably that's exactly what it was, but you wouldn't have expected that. Oh, I certainly never expected that to be. And even now, it still surprises me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
fair enough.
I think if I was in the school now, it probably wouldn't, because I'd like to think things are probably a bit different.
I don't know. I bet they aren't.
No, probably not. But I certainly at the time didn't expect it.
Fortunately, thanks to the restraining order, I'm not allowed to go to a school and find out.
Well, that's what you get for pissing in playgrounds.
I'm fighting it.
During playtime.
I'm fighting it.
During lunch break.
Needed a pee. Yeah, okay, sure.
You shouldn't have hopped the
I
fence.
jumped the fence, yeah, sure.
They do in your trench coat and not much else.
You know, sure. I could have found a corner rather than doing it in the middle. Maybe. There's lots of...
And the crying child you were pissing on was problematic as well.
But, you know, these are all...
It was considered a bit of a hate crime.
These are all just small instances that, were they different, the courts might have judged differently.
I mean, I can't believe how long we've spent talking.
No, but we did have a serious discussion.
No, we did. I didn't expect... I liked it, don't get me wrong. We've spent half an hour chatting.
It wasn't all, you know, pissing in playgrounds.
But there was a main reason we assembled today, Jake.
Yep.
Tell the people... I'll tell you what, I've got a question to ask
Boredom
you.
mostly, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've got a question to ask you, though. Where's Kate, Jake?
Where is Kate?
That is the question.
I mean, I don't actually
on the nation's lips.
I don't actually have
since Christmas
any theories about where she is.
Oh,
by
I
the
do.
way.
And I just want to say, by the way,
I'm very doubtful about, you know, the story that the palace are feeding us, the narrative that they're feeding us.
I want to preface this with Jake. I had heard about like the photo, didn't really look into it, and I think, to be fair, you messaged me prior to the photo. I think
no, it was just after the photo.
Okay,
because it was about the photo that I had concerns.
And I remember I haven't really looked at any of it, to be honest. And then I surfed on Twitter and went into it. And I wasn't into it before, but I've gone fairly deep on it. I've gone fairly deep on it. But it was just, I really enjoyed the fact you were on the conspiracy side for once.
Well, it was the really badly photoshopped photo that the palace released on Mother's Day.
Of it, though, isn't it?
It's everything. And then they were like, and then they
and
released
they're still not showing us her.
And then they released a statement saying, oh, you know, Kate said that, you know, this, you know, Kate's released a statement saying, look, you know, I like to play amateur Photoshop editor or whatever. And it's like, look, listen, babe, I'm sure you do. Okay.
You probably did in sixth form.
You've probably got hobbies. You held up after a surgery or whatever, but you're asking me to believe that the palace will release a badly photoshopped photo that you've done
on your mobile,
or that they've, you know, that you've okayed something that it's not adding up.
No, none of it's
not adding up. And then they released that footage. I don't know if you've seen it of like them in the car,
and her head's turned,
and her head. You can't see all of her. And like some of the people apparently, like some people are really into it. Are like, this is an edit of her being out and about like November last year or something. You can tell because you can see where they've cropped the hat out.
Yeah.
Apparently the face from the photo that she sent out for Mother's Day was from a Vogue cover that she did.
Yeah. I've seen the...
Just not adding up.
No, before we go any further, I'd like to think most of the people listening probably know what we're talking about, but we do have some listeners in America that might not be.
They're more into it than we are.
No, but I've seen like news over time. What's going on over there?
You've seen what Spain are reporting, apparently? The Spanish news?
I think I have heard, but I can't remember. But just 1 second.
Sure.
So the situation as it stands is Princess Kate, who is married to the heir to the throne of our country, hasn't been seen publicly since either just before or just after Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas time.
So it's now March. It's been a few months, which is quite odd. And she's part of the very front line royal family. She's going to be the Queen one day. We were told she was having abdominal surgery, I think, in the new year, roughly. But she still hasn't been seen since. We're told everything's fine, and we've still not seen her. And then this released photo that Will apparently took that's got all sorts of shit issues with it.
It was the sleeve on the
sleeve. It was the lining on the windows. Do you know what I mean? They were like, it's been edited to fuck.
It was the daughter's sleeve where like it actually didn't match up with her arm.
No, it was misaligned. It was just wasn't it?
Yeah. And then half of it was
missing. And then
missing,
the weird twisted finger of one of the lads.
Yeah, they all had twisted fingers. It was like fucking AI shit. Where
someone was like, "This is Illuminati confirmed," because there were so many crosses in the photo.
Nice. I love an Illuminati. Illuminati, bro, isn't it?
So I've seen some out there. I mean, my original thing when I heard about it was that she's probably just really unwell, and they don't want to tell us that. There's probably been complications from whatever surgery she's had, or whatever reason she had surgery was worse than perhaps they thought to begin with.
Well, I will say this. That's what the Spanish media are apparently reporting. Allegedly, the Spanish media are saying that her surgery was unplanned,
Okay.
and that the reason she needed it was far worse than they ever let on, and that it was not as successful
As they were
as they'd
expecting.
hoped it would be, and that for some reason, this is the other sort of half of what they're reporting, and that for some reason there's a media blackout on it in the UK,
Yeah.
and you can no longer, news agencies can no longer use that photo, by the way, the cropped photo,
No, it's
because the
they've done
palace
a kill
revoked.
notice, haven't
Yeah,
they? Yeah. The thing is, though, like, even say, like, worst case scenario, she passes away because she's really unwell. They've handled it so badly. No one's ever going to believe
Massive
it's of
fumble.
natural causes.
if she does
from
die,
some-
they are better off actually. And I've never seen this movie, but just knowing the premise, they are better off just doing a weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah. How much of the weeds do you want to get into with the really, like, what people are saying they think is going on?
I know.
And I'm sort of starting to lean.
I know the
towards it, if I'm
two
being honest.
big ones.
I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm going to say H. All right.
Okay.
But there's supposedly a woman that Kate's friends with, and
Just the Marquise lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall I say their name?
Oh, fuck it. If you can pronounce what she's Marquise of.
I think I heard someone pronounce it. It's
Marquess.
not what you would expect. Her name is Kate. I've got it here somewhere. It's not Kate, is it?
She's like the Marquise of Chaladony or something.
I think it was, someone pronounced it like Chumley or something like
Why
that.
not? Why not?
Oh, fuck off. Here we go. Rose Hanbury is her name. Marquise of Chumley, let's call it. Or Chumley, it might have been. She's allegedly been having an affair with Will for a number of years. She's also allegedly married to a gay man. This is the conspiracy I've read online. Right?
I love this already.
And the rumours are the third child of this Marquise looks,
It's Will's.
allegedly, yeah. And the
Thing is that you and I both know that they can't actually get pregnant the way Will likes to have sex.
well, that's not the only way he has sex. you
I
think that
refute the fact
was
that
one
it's
of
the only way he has sex.
Because one of the things I was going to ask you on a serious level was, how true do you think that rumour is?
Pretty
'Cause
true.
It feels a bit Richard Gere and Gerbils to me. Do you know
No,
what I
I
mean?
think that's probably. I think that's come out
How
a
likely
bit
do you,
too casually.
what do you then think of the accusation he's been having an affair?
This is the thing. It's really hard for me to comment properly on it because, as you know, and I'm going to be careful not to swear because, you know, just on the off chance that we clip it and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's me through the
There's
episode,
a
by the
good
way. I
chance
have
we
already,
clip
I
this.
have already made more of a concerted effort, in case you haven't noticed, to swear less.
Oh, really? What? Because of clips?
Well, it's just nicer if I can be a bit cleaner, be
No,
a
I
bit more
get that.
accessible
I
to the
get
younger
that.
audience because I want the younger audience to know what happened to Kate. These kids got
And
to
if
learn.
you want to know what happened to someone else who went missing,
They
go
learn.
back and listen to our McCanns Are Not Murderers Nabil Elite episode. It's excellent.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. If Charles says, "Oh, we've got you a ticket on the Eurotunnel," I'll fob that off.
Go nowhere near
nowhere-
Paris, Kate.
Nowhere
Stay
near
the
it.
fuck away from France.
But it's hard for me to say because I genuinely, and I think you know this, but I don't care about the Royals. I don't follow the Royals.
No, I
I
get
don't
that.
know anything about the Royals. I get little bits, you know, that drip feed in. So every time I will just glance upon if there's a story that's doing really big rounds. For example, Harry and Meghan will occasionally get quite big media
Yeah.
coverage. And my takeaway is always, that's unnecessary and it's blown out of proportion. No wonder they left. Not all, you know, but that's more or less the arrival I reach at. Wills and Kate, the one thing I did always get was, particularly when Harry and Meghan, well, when Harry started, announced his engagement to Meghan,
Yeah.
from the off, the very racist British media were like, they're the bad ones. Harry's always, before Harry was fun, now he's with a black woman, he's bad.
Yeah.
And they wanted to, as an opposite to that, was to pose Kate and Wills as like, no, this is your future king and queen.
The
They
image
always,
of domestic
they always
bliss
wanted to be a
and-
bit, there was always a bit too perfect,
Perfect, yeah.
of the image that came across, and it was always like, that ain't real life.
No.
And I know, again, I don't know enough, but that was always the vibe I got.
Well, one of the accusations Harry and Meghan have made previously is that Kate and Will, or the Kensington Palace news team, were used to manipulate the media into focusing on Harry and Meghan, and that stuff was being leaked to the press to draw attention to them two, and people are now saying, well, was that being done because
They didn't want him looking over here.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So like the ridiculous thing about the conspiracy I've heard that potentially he's had an affair and potentially he's had an illegitimate child and this woman's married to a gay man and that.
Can I just?
It's almost
no,
irrelevant,
please.
really, I guess. But like, it's not inconceivable to me that some bloke with a title somewhere couldn't be gay because of family reasons and whatever. And so he had a beard and they've had kids to whatever. But it never made sense to me why Will and Harry fell out so much over it all. The only thing I could really think of was Harry said in the story, but I didn't understand why Harry disliked Will as much as he seems to now. And part of me wonders whether this is all
Linked.
genuinely mixed up.
Particularly because Harry's come across as anything to you and I as a good family man.
Yeah,
a
and if you
loyal
want to
man.
go even deeper than that, people have pointed out that when they were growing up, Harry was always made out to be the womanizer, the party boy, the one who
it's
was
like,
fucking up
you,
all the
it's
time.
you, brother.
Whereas Will was the perfect picture of future kingness, wasn't he? He settled down early, had kids. But like they broke up when they were younger as well, Kate and Will, didn't they? So part of me feels like it sort of checks out. It does. None of it feels.
There's no missing pieces in your mind.
No, but saying that, it could quite as easily be she's just really unwell and they're handling it really poorly.
Well, what? I mean, yeah, that's a very likely. We've got
Yeah.
to concede. As much as we're going into the conspiracies,
Oh,
and we
100%.
will,
And like, look,
have
we
to
know I
concede.
like a conspiracy. I don't necessarily think this, because what really they're handling poorly, if that's the case, is the fact that
It's the
most
PR.
likely- yeah, and that Kate doesn't want to be with him anymore, and that's something they need to negotiate behind the scenes, and that could then mean the reason she hasn't been seen is because she's like, well, if we're separated, fuck you if I'm doing all this shit anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'm not posing for photos. I'm not telling everybody everything's fine because it's not fine.
Yeah.
And that's one of the arguments I've seen people make online, and that feels as equally plausible, if
What,
not more so.
what I will say as well is that if that is the case and he has had illegitimate children, has been sleeping around, I would say it immediately makes him 10 times cooler. And like, be fair, going back even just a couple of 100 years, monarchs did that all the time.
Well, this is the thing.
That is a very normal thing for monarchs and princes to
he
do.
wouldn't be the first king to have an illegitimate child. Do you know what I mean?
Nope, not even close.
Probably won't be the last.
Well, unless he's the last king.
Well, true, but I don't think he'll be the last. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, there's always got to be a last.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it doesn't all, but you know.
Yeah. Well, it depends. It feels like the country's more going right wing to a degree. So who
But-
knows?
What theory do you buy then?
Initially, it was she's likely just really unwell, but the conspiracist in me keeps going, "Come on, mate, you know the truth." Do you know what I mean?
Fair.
He's had it feels so.
How do you think she found out, or do you think she knew for a while?
I think she probably was fine with the affair, but when she found out he's had a kid with her, went, no, that's not.
How
That's
do
not
we know
correct.
how old this child is?
A few years, I think.
But it's only just now that the child's gone from baby to toddler that they're starting to see
There's a bit of
the similarities.
Apparently, she looks
Allegedly.
very similar to Charlotte,
Right. Okay.
and that was what that's all I've heard. I've not actually seen a picture of this child, so this is wild.
Which is we
speculation.
hope never to see a picture of this child. The child doesn't deserve to
No,
be
no,
dragged into the
absolutely.
media. I just want to make that clear as our
No,
position.
absolutely.
But the conspiracy theorist in me does want to see.
I want to see a picture of both those girls.
I just
for purely
please
research
clip that completely out of purpose.
I just want to see a picture
Completely,
of those girls
I just want to see a picture of both of those girls.
so I can compare.
Because let's be fair, comparing women is something that is an institution in this country, and we've got to start young.
We've got to make them be used to it. Yeah. But like, what actually is going on, I have no idea. I mean, I like.
How long do you think it will
Neither
be?
scenario is great because in one scenario, Kate's been cheated on,
And in the other, she's really unwell.
yeah, so neither's preferable, I suppose.
Well, not for her.
No, because otherwise, I don't know what. It can't just be she doesn't fancy going in front of the camera at them. Because the thing is, if she's fine, why hasn't there been
something? Yeah.
Yeah, like have her like. She has a smartphone, I'm sure. Like, just pick up the smartphone, do a quick video. I'm fine, guys. I'm not dead.
Would that not make you more suspicious, though?
She'd have to hold up that day's paper. Do you know
Again, it screams hostage.
So what do you want? What would prove to you that she's
Well, this
alive
is what I
and
want
well?
to ask. There's
Do you need a handshake from her?
3 things I want to say. 2 things I want to say. 1 thing I want to ask you.
Go on.
1, I feel very sorry in the same way that I felt sorry for William and Harry. I'm very sorry for the kids whose family affairs are being aired so publicly.
Yeah. Is that not unavoidable, though, considering
It is
who they
unavoidable,
are?
but it doesn't mean I can't have
Oh, no, absolutely. You can have empathy
sympathies
for
and
them.
empathies
Yeah,
for them.
absolutely.
Number 2, I forgot what number 2 was because I get very easily, my mind does not
What
stay.
was the question? Maybe you'll think of number 2.
I can't remember what number 1 was. What did I just say to you?
You felt bad for the kids.
I feel bad for the kids. Okay. The question is, when do you think we'll find out the truth? How long before we find out the truth?
I have no idea. They need to do it sooner rather than later. The question I'd sort of throw back would be like, how long do you think they can do this for until they either tell us what's going on with her or...
If I'm the
She's
PR
dead.
manager, at this point, it becomes a challenge for how much fun can I have with this.
How much can I fuck with the roles right now?
I'm just going through every movie I've seen thinking, how many of these can I fucking rip off and reference in my PR thing?
Do you think they're doing like a bit of an Undertaker move where like she's just a bit knackered, so they're giving her a few months off and then she's going to make a triumphant return, like maybe come in on a horse?
Oh, well, I think she should come back like the Undertaker, though.
What, to the music? With her eyes
sitting
rolled
straight
back.
up, yeah.
Yeah, what they should do.
Oh my God, the Queen out of nowhere!
A live feed of a coffin that's covered, and then just as the video's about to end, she bursts out of it.
But before she can have someone read a statement that just says, the cause of my death was that my husband stabbing me in the back
Yeah.
with that hoe, that bitch,
Yeah.
the Marquise of
What
Chomley.
really made me laugh was
And then she comes out the coffin.
the amount of men going
But I'm back.
on Twitter being like, I don't blame him, look at her, and then posting a photo of her. Come on, man.
The worst excuse. The worst
How is
excuse.
that
of this.
your first
It's the
thought?
worst offence.
It's like, look at her.
I mean, like, it tells you the kind of man that it is. If they go, someone cheating, you go, that is appalling. That is appalling. Is that her? No, fair enough.
Is there a level you do like?
I'd be okay with cheating. No.
So say
No.
like you and your missus, right? I'm trying to. Who do you think's the epitome of male sexiness? 'Cause
Male
it's different for everyone.
sexiness. I genuinely don't know.
No, but pick
I mean, Momoa's always quite a popular one,
Okay,
I guess.
so you think Momoa's hot? That's fine. You can just say a guy you think's hot, Jake. It's not that deep. We're fine with gay people.
We like Hugh
nowadays.
Jackman on the pod.
Yeah. So like, right. So you've been with your missus, just not that long, maybe a couple of months, but it's ticking along nicely. She goes on a family holiday to Australia. And,
Sure.
And she comes back, and Hugh Jackman's a divorced man now. He's separated from his missus, so he's single.
This is a real push here. First of all, I've had a missus for 2 months, and second of all, Hugh Jackman's separated from his partner.
No, he has.
You're asking me to believe a lot here.
No, they have actually.
What, him and Deb have
They've
separated?
absolutely separated.
Have they?
Yeah.
Well, sign me up to a
I'm
dating
not
site.
fucking with you. They've.
I'm going to be all right.
They've separated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
There's
anyway.
been very little said about it.
Back
And
in
they've
the,
asked for
back in the,
privacy.
well, unlike the palace, they're getting it. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say.
Right, go.
I've remembered what I wanted to
Just roll
say.
it back.
I remember what I wanted
Put
to
a pin
say.
in Hugh Jackman in Australia.
I find it very interesting
Yeah.
that quite a few people, journalists,
Yeah.
that have historically torn into Meghan
Okay.
and written the negative headlines about Meghan have been writing articles in the last week or so saying, guys, I think we should give Kate her privacy. Can't the woman just have,
yeah.
a bit of peace?
Yeah. Which, to be honest,
I mean, they're right
It's
to say
fair.
that now,
yeah.
but they should
They
have been
didn't
saying
give
it
a fuck
also.
when it
Yeah,
was 100%.
that was what I wanted to say. So
Yeah.
we're back in Australia. Well,
Right,
I'm not.
so
I'm
your,
back at
your
home.
missus has gone out to Australia for a family holiday, and she comes back.
How much of her family's Australian?
All of them.
Which part are they living in?
Auckland.
I just want to build Auckland.
Isn't that
Kind of Australia are you in?
is
That's
that
New Zealand.
Fuck. What's the capital? I know it's not
Canberra.
Sydney. Canberra.
They live in Canberra.
No, they've gone Sydney. They live in Sydney.
They live in Sydney.
They live in Sydney, right next to the Opera House.
Okay, yeah, they're like in a little annexed.
No, it's just a house
version.
next door.
It's just next
I've
door.
seen the photos. There's a house next door. But they live next to the Sydney Opera House. It's really noisy.
And they
at
commute
night.
into Auckland.
It's not that far.
Okay, I just wanted to get the context. I'm back in the room.
Fuck, I went to Auckland, man. It sounded Australian in my
I'm
head.
back in the room.
I could have gone anything. Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney.
There's-
No, I went
And now you've just listed actual Australian. You could have even gone to like
they live in the
anywhere.
outback, I could have said.
Yeah, or in the. You could have gone off the mainland. You could have said they lived in, Tasmania.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Australia, but obviously.
Clearly.
I said
No.
fucking Auckland.
No. This has come as a great shock. This is the
So
biggest
she's
revelation.
gone away. It's not like you've not been able to talk to her while she's there. You're FaceTiming every day. It's all been cushy. No signs of any issues. She comes back. She sits you down. Jake, I need to talk to you. You know, I had an amazing time while I was out in Australia. Probably too good a time, if I'm being honest. You're not going to believe this, actually. It's quite a cool story, although you're probably not going to be that happy about it. I ran into Hugh Jackman.
Wolverine?
Yeah.
You met Wolverine?
Yeah, that's the guy, yeah. The Greatest Showman. I fucked him.
What?
I fucked Hugh Jackman, Jake.
Do you know what though? I know in this scenario, this is my partner,
Yeah.
but I could believe those words coming out of your mouth. Like that's.
Look, I love the man. If he wanted to make sweet, sweet love to me, I think Leanne would understand.
But okay, sorry.
Only if I got to give, though.
So what are you asking me is, would I be okay with it because I think,
Hugh Jackman's a
fair
bit
enough,
of me
Hugh
a
Jackman's
sexiness.
attractive. I mean, my first question is, quite wrongly, how can we exploit this?
Can we blackmail him?
Can we, well,
Well,
you
not
know,
anymore. He's separated.
Can we go to the set of Deadpool 4? Can we get tickets to X-Men premieres?
Yeah. Can I
Look.
leverage this?
I want to exploit it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong to exploit my partner? Maybe.
No, we should
Who-
just suck
who's-
off Wolverine.
Well, hang on. Now she's blown him.
Of course she did, Jake.
It was just a little
There's
bit of
no way if you're having sex
just a
with
little-
Hugh Jackman, you're not putting it in your mouth at some point.
little bit of penetrative sex before. Now it's jumped up to
Are you
oral.
not? Are you not a generous lover? Are you not using your mouth when you make
Am
love?
I a generous lover? Am I? Listen, if a lady wants to be pleasured
Yeah.
and not just for me to be in and out and do my business, she actually wants to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I might send in one of the butlers.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. Is that with the lights off? So they don't know.
No, I think they should know. I think it's important to know
Okay.
that they're not going to get their
You
pleasure.
always get consent.
They're not going to get their pleasure directly from me,
Yeah.
and we need to establish that boundary very early on.
Okay, that's good. But you draw the line at Hugh Jackman.
And foreplay. No, yes.
Draw the line at foreplay.
I draw the line. Yeah, I draw the line. No, I would be genuinely. I would be hurt and offended. I don't care who it is.
Okay,
You've
that's fair
broken a
enough.
bond.
What if she had sex with Sydney Sweeney?
I mean, shit. Fair enough. Where was my invite? You know.
It's an interesting.
No, I would be
Would
hurt.
it bother you
I would
even
be
if it was a
hurt.
woman?
Whatever it was, I would be
Okay,
hurt.
that's fair enough. What if he was? What if you guys agreed a hall pass situation?
If we
Like,
agreed,
if that was everyone has the list.
yeah, if
don't
we
they,
had
with
a
their
list,
partner?
and Hugh Jackman was on the list, and she slept
And
with
she
Hugh
somehow
Jackman,
managed to pull it off.
I would be. I couldn't be mad.
I think I still.
The list
would
is
be.
the
I'm
list.
just going to be honest. I don't actually expect Leanne to ever sleep
Run
with
into Hugh
And
Jackman.
even if she does, if she slept with
Who's
him,
on
I'd be
Leanne's
upset.
list? You know.
I think I don't know if I'm allowed to say stuff like that, but
Oh shit! I mean, if you don't want to say it, don't say it.
I don't think it's that bad, is it? Like,
No,
'cause
I
you're
don't
just
think it's
saying who
that
she
bad.
thinks is attractive. Perry Kiley, I know is one, or was, I think.
Perry
he-
Kiley,
Yeah, do you know the little afro-haired guy from Diversity?
the diversity, the young
Yeah,
one.
yeah, not he's
who's-
not that young anymore.
but he's the
grown
youngest
up.
of them.
Yeah, he's grown up.
Yeah, he's an adult. She doesn't want to sleep with a child. It should be very
I
clear.
just wanted to put that out there. I think it's because he's a massive Harry Potter nerd, and Liam was
And he's quite.
danced when she was younger. So like, I think
He's
she's
athletic.
dancing.
He's flexible.
He's a good-looking lad. He's all right.
He's a good-looking lad. I think
Yeah,
we
he's
can
in
give him
good
that.
shape. So I can understand the appeal. So it's like a running joke between me and Leanne. If there's ever a show and he happens to be on it, I like pretend to spit at the screen, which could be seen as problematic.
Okay, who else is on the list? Do you know?
I can't
Anyone
remember
else?
the others.
Who's on your list?
I think that list changes. Do you know what I mean? It's not a conversation.
How often are you allowed to?
Say like I slept with Sydney Sweeney and she's not on the list. And the hands up, but she wasn't on the list. She was. I just didn't update you.
Yeah. What about if you meet her on you're on a night out and then you
It
go,
looks like it's
babe,
headed that
real
way."
quick, I've just updated my list.
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney's
Sydney Sweeney's on.
By the way, yes, you're also not going to guess who I've run into.
Yeah, also, I'm not coming home tonight.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I don't think I could ever actually have a real list. Do you know what I mean? Like we have
Seems
the
too
jokey
definitive,
list.
doesn't it? Yeah, it's never a serious
No,
list.
like,
You're never actually going to sleep with someone, even if you meet them.
Yeah, like I think probably Kate Beckinsale would be on the list, but I don't think even if I was offered the
Solid
opportunity,
shout.
I could. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
No, I think in general, if you're going to commit to
You commit.
monogamy, you've got to commit
If you're
to
monogamous, you're monogamous.
Yeah, 100%.
Or
But
you're
some
a prince.
people aren't into that shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like royalty.
Like Will.
Do you think she at the very least, he convinced her to put a finger?
I can't.
He's never escaping that. By the way, that rumor.
The thing is,
Plus,
even if it's true, it doesn't
what's
matter.
what's the deal?
Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's a very popular
he's allowed
thing these
to do
days.
whatever he likes, as long as it's legal. That doesn't seem to stop his uncle. But
Lots of couples enjoy it these days. Yeah, that's a line has been crossed.
yeah,
Children is a no-go.
yeah,
Non-consensual coercion is a no-go.
yeah. I feel like it's sort of the whole
Coerced
situation
consent.
of the conspiracy sort of feels like it fits the narrative of their family. Like, it would just be him repeating the same mistakes his dad made.
The thing is, as well, they're down to like no serving royals, right?
Yeah.
Because there's 4 of them.
Charles is unwell.
I'm not counting the outer ones.
Kate's unwell.
The
Harry and
Duchess
Meghan
of
obviously aren't
Cornwall
there.
stepped back, hasn't she?
Is that Anne? Is it?
No, Camilla.
Oh, is she Dutch?
She's Duchess of
Isn't
Cornwall.
she Queen now?
Yeah, but isn't she also Duchess of Cornwall?
I'm
I
not
don't know.
sure.
Yeah, you probably do have to give those titles up, don't you?
No, I don't think you do. I'm not sure, man. I'm not
But either
in.
way, yeah, they've got like no serving royals.
Yeah. So
And apparently the king doesn't have cancer. Apparently, he's telling everyone he's got cancer, but then some people are, reporting that, people who know him well or whatever are reporting that actually he's telling them that no, he doesn't have cancer. And we're just being told it.
No, but why
So
would they tell
whatever's
us
going
that?
on at the palace is some fucked up shit.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, currently it's quite clear they don't want to tell us the truth.
I'll tell you what's happening right now.
What?
The palace is going through their own kind of coronavirus, if you like, where there's just suddenly an unexpected, unprecedented level of drama to deal with.
Yeah.
And they've got Boris in charge. They've got a PR team who are like, look, man, I'll be honest, we just tweet happy Easter photos.
is,
We
though-
put out a thing at Christmas saying, I hope everyone enjoys. We are not prepared to deal with this. This is beyond our remit. Okay? A king who's ill but not ill.
Well, speaking
A
about
princess who's ill or cheated on
Yeah.
or disappeared or dead. A prince who's cheating or not cheating.
But does it not say a lot that the first theory is she's dead? What does that say about that family? That the first assumption
They
is
have a
what
history.
they do?
They have a
Well, that's
history.
sort of like, but like again, they handled Diana's situation so poorly that her being killed by the royal family seems like a feasible, or still to this day is an arguable position. Do you know what I mean? So like, I mean, it's just I pray for Kate that she's alive and well.
Kate, if you can hear this, if you're listening to this,
Get in contact. Email us at,
CrossingSwords19@gmail.com.
and you can find us on Twitter at,
Swords Crossing.
Facebook,
What Crossing Swords?
TikTok and Instagram.
Crossing Swords _podcast.
Boom, and it'll be on the screen.
Unlike
Nailed
Kate.
it. No,
Because Kate
she's-
is not on any screen.
No.
Not a current form.
And even Piers Morgan agrees with us, Jake, and that's normally not something
Does Piers Morgan agree with us?
he basically...
I might change my mind.
I don't know if he agrees with the conspiracy stuff, but he's basically been like, if she's fine and there's nothing to the story, then just prove it.
Why are you making it worse?
Yeah.
Every time
But
the
like,
palace release something,
How
by the
can
way.
anyone be this bad at PR?
I
Cause
know.
Like, because admittedly, like, and this is like a little brag.
No, but every time they release something, they make it worse.
Yeah, but like we had a post in the last week do really well, and it very quickly the responses got to a point where we were like, oh yeah, I'm not
engaging.
No, I read some of them and then I was like, oh yeah, but it's just going to keep going. So I can understand perhaps being overwhelmed by the response.
In a way, also what you're saying is that any listeners who want to jump in on social media and stuff, you're joining a hot shit bandwagon.
You absolutely are. We're flying at the moment. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
But sorry, please.
And it involved the Royals. So
It did involve the Royals.
Symmetry. It's what we're about here at CrossingSwords. Symmetry.
Did you have a point, or did you just wanted to brag that we'd had done quite well out of a post?
No, quite often when I start talking, there is a point, and then
you lose it somewhere in the middle.
I lose it somewhere in the middle. The amount of times when I listen back to the podcast and I'm like, I can remember what the point I was going to make was,
and you're waiting for you to make it.
Yeah,
and it never
then,
comes.
Like, you might say something in reaction to what I've just said, and then I react to that, and then I completely forget what it was I was saying. And that's not blaming you; it's my attention span.
No, sometimes what I get from me is when I'm listening back, I'll hear you say something, and I'm like, a response comes to my mind. I'm like, oh, say that.
Yeah.
And then I don't. I'm like, you didn't hear him say it, did you? I'm like, you weren't engaged.
No, the thing is, though, it does happen sometimes because, like, quite often one of us might randomly monologue about something, and it's not because you're boring or I'm boring, but you can just lose your place in the moment, can't you? Like, you just
also,
suddenly
you start thinking about your response.
Yeah, or like it might even be like I start looking at the can, and then I'll be like, and for whatever reason, I'll just fixate on it for a second. And I'm like, oh no, fuck, Jake's talking to me. And then, but I might not even completely take my eyes off you. I might just be like,
sometimes you're making a really impassioned speech, and the other one's just eating.
yeah. But I think
that was also
a
Royals.
classic podcast moment, though.
I love that.
It seems like some of our biggest, you know, I mean, you're against the rules. I'm getting there slowly, but like some of our biggest podcast moments have come from speaking about the ridiculousness that is the royal family. And the thing is, look, in truth, whatever's going on, they are just human beings. They're as fallible as the rest of us. Just because they were born into ridiculous wealth doesn't make them immune.
They've got the worst fucking PR firm.
Oh, absolutely.
Or, no, not a firm. They're like their own in-house team.
Like, having watched The Crown and stuff, and I know it's not a documentary, but it gives you a sense of like how the people around the royals like see their role. And I think a lot of them, it becomes quite like almost like a family in and of itself. Like, they have the next person for that job lined up, and they're training them, and they're their person. So it just means whoever takes the positions around them, they've all got the same ideas, the same entrenched values, and they seem to take it even more seriously than the royals themselves. And like, I think they try and insulate them as much as possible, and I don't think that's always to their benefit. And I think you're seeing that at the moment. Like, if she's genuinely unwell, and even she doesn't necessarily have to show her face, Will could come out and do some sort of speech where he's like, this is a situation.
But I would argue now that because of how they've handled it and how they fumbled it, whatever they do next, it's going to make you more suspicious.
Bad. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think there is a...
Because genuinely, if she comes out, I know we said it earlier, like, you know, the most logical thing would be to come out and have her actually do a thing.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's going to look
just
forced
screams
no matter
more
what.
dodgy.
Any like slightly awkward look, we're going to go, there it is, there's a sign. She's being manipulated. Do you know what I mean? She blinked twice at that moment when no one else would blink twice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no way around it.
No.
They've dug themselves a hole, and now they've just got to ride it out. For me...
I'm interested to see what happens now.
The way to ride it out is to out-ridiculous the internet. Like, if the internet are going to post photoshopped pictures of the photoshopped picture, then you've got to post some batshit crazy photo in response.
Of her, like, snorting coke.
Well, post a picture of her.
Or with a doobie.
And then put, like, you know, Peppa Pig over one of the kids and things, and be like, Kate is having a wonderful time. She's just visiting Shrek World or whatever.
My favourite place.
That's what I'd have. I'd just be like, just go crazy with it.
Yeah.
And then if you're being ridiculous, the internet don't care.
Yeah, I think the problem is, though, even now, I think it's reached a level of seriousness for a certain section of the public, and I think the longer it goes on...
When will the trend end?
Before
or after the truth from is out?
It probably won't. This will be like...
You think it'll be hot topic online all the way? I don't think the attention span of the online community is always strong.
I think it will be an undercurrent of whatever coverage online there is. The responses will be, oh, well, he's a cuck, he's cheating on her, he's like, there'll be people that stick with this going forward. And I think, like, with the Richard Gere stuff, it doesn't matter whether any of the rumours are true or not. Sometimes they just stick.
Much like those poor gerbils.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Sometimes they get stuck up there. The rumour was that he
gerbils or hamsters or something.
Gerbils and tubes he'd put up his bum, and yeah.
Which is mad, because the elaborate thing you'd need to even pull that off.
I don't even know where that rumour started, but I remember hearing about it when I was in school.
Yeah, I remember that. That and Marilyn Manson pulling out a couple of ribs to suck their own dick.
Which apparently wouldn't work even if you did.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people,
yeah.
you know, doctors and
Be
physicians
like, no,
and stuff say,
work.
like, that is just, you can either do it or you can't.
Yeah. Either you're blessed or you're
and
cursed.
Apparently, Wills is not. Apparently, he needs someone else to have a little nibble for him.
And like, look, sometimes that's necessary, but you should do that with your wife. Not with another woman.
But what if she's not up for it?
Then you need
If you force her, that's rape.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not saying force your wife to do that. You've either then got to let go of whatever it is you want your wife to do,
but you're a future king.
You need to get her to agree to let you go outside of the relationship. Or
shouldn't have to let go. You're a future king.
It's such a fundamental part of who you are that it's not something you can go without, then you shouldn't be with that person to begin with.
The future king wants his dick sucked.
Like, if this is what the sticking point was when they broke up years ago, that she wasn't willing to do that for him, then they shouldn't have been together. I know this is a silly point to be made, but they shouldn't have been together to begin with. If it's that big a thing for him.
Do you think that's what it was years ago that he asked her to put it up his arse?
No, I
think
I
don't want to do that.
He might be a bit of a shagger, and like, unlike a lot of men with privilege and power, used it to his.
Can you imagine him on a stag do? Shagger on the back of his t-shirt.
And the thing is, I don't think he's a terrible bloke. Everything you see, like interviews, and I've heard him talk about, and he's done a lot for like opening up the mental health side of things for the royal family, for them to be open about it. So like, I think he does good stuff. So I don't think he's a terrible guy, but I think he might be a flawed human that strays from his marriage.
And even that would have been a better statement to come from the palace.
The future king might like sleeping around, but he isn't a bad bloke.
You know, a flawed human.
Just like the rest of us.
Just like all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, does a driver take him to and from his mistress? Maybe.
But that's his burden to bear.
It's his cross to carry.
Yeah. No, it's a hard thing doing what he does. Do you know what I mean? I don't envy it.
Sleeping with one woman's hard enough.
Yeah, trying to
bouncing around between the two.
Yeah.
Oh, when I was young, maybe.
I can't imagine you playing two women. You haven't got the attention span to keep up the lies.
No, I don't. I think it's happened. It's happened a couple of times in my younger years, and
really?
It genuinely would not. It didn't last long because I couldn't. I couldn't juggle it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
Who wants that sort of... And also, to be honest, why do you want to treat...
And also, I didn't like being put in that position where I was like, I feel...
I like that you felt you were the one in a tough position.
I was like, I'm doing two people dirty rather than just one person dirty. I'm doing two people dirty. I don't think
if you're just seeing one person, you're doing them dirty.
No, but if you're seeing two...
yeah, that
you're
is
doing two.
Them dirty.
But I can't... like, especially now, at the point I'm at, that sounds... exhausting.
Yeah.
Like having an affair.
I watched the
utterly
Tinder
exhausting.
Swindler, right? I watched the Tinder Swindler. I'm like, who's got the energy to do this?
Oh, exactly.
Like, I get it. It must be quite a nice life, jet setting around the world on other people's dime and shagging all these random women and getting their money. But it also sounds like a lot of work.
when you think about the people that are having affairs, and they go to such elaborate lengths to try and meet up and cover up. It's like, at the end of the day, I just want to come home and relax. I don't want to be doing all that.
I don't like to be texting a side piece.
When I finish work, or if I take a day off work, I want it to be my day. I either want to get a lot of stuff done, and I don't mean my mistress.
Yeah.
Or like, what I don't want to do is going out to some dirty travel lodge after work or whatever. It's like, oh,
do you
man,
think
it's too much effort.
to a dirty travel lodge?
Too much. I would love it if he was having an affair.
He's doing it in the Chariot, isn't he? The one they pull out at special events.
I would. Imagine if he did it at the the king's coronation
Yeah,
carriage.
that's what I'm saying. That one.
Yeah, that'd be a bit.
The one the Queen would trot around.
But
in.
no, not that one. You know the one they got specially made for the king's coronation.
Oh, did they?
With like electric windows and stuff.
Oh, sick.
Because he can steam them up and do the full Titanic thing.
Nice. I'm on board.
So that's all it took for you to get on board with
Was a bit of
royal
royal
change.
thrown in. Yeah.
Just it's like, look, it's wrong to cheat unless you're doing it in a really cool way.
Yeah, like on the throne.
On the throne. Would you ever have, if you was a royal, would you have sex on the throne?
Of course. It'd be rude not to. At very least, oral sex.
Yeah.
Receiving.
My lady, take my scepter.
I need to nurture.
Don't forget the orbs.
Take a knee.
100%.
Yeah. We're all perverts.
Would you like to see my special sword, my lady? My ceremonial sword.
The thing is, I said to you the other day by text that I'd hate to be that much of a cliche. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think men are very predictable.
Do you think he's smoother than his dad? Wills.
He certainly comes across smoother, but the more I've read into things, apparently he's not the nicest. The person he comes across as, he's quite angry, has a bit of a temper.
Thing is, no. First of all, he's grown up. He's had a lot of trauma as a child that was very publicly dragged out. He's grown up completely and told, like you said, he's been always told, you were going to be king, you were going to be king, you were going to be king. And at the same time, no one, going back to what we said earlier, no one can be as perfect as they pitch those two as. Not. It's just
as
fucking
I said,
ridiculous.
He's a human being. But that's why I'm not. I sort of lean towards.
That's why they loved having Harry in a way, wasn't it? Because they could say he's the wild, crazy one.
Yeah, and that's part of what sort of made it start all coming together for me, because it was like his entire life Harry was made out to be the bad one, and when I look at their situation now, he made the decision to. He
made a very mature,
and
responsible decision.
You could say gave up everything he'd grown up with to protect his wife. Fundamentally, whatever you think of anything else and his decision since, that was why he did it. And that doesn't marry with the image that was portrayed of him, particularly in his younger years. I think as he got a bit older, before he got married, he was the Invictus Games guy, and I think his popularity...
It's turning around his image, yeah.
But it's interesting that as soon as he got married and Megan came along, that started to turn.
I mean, this is a whole other conversation, and I'm not, we've not got the time to have it now, but do you think, just very briefly, do you think that the William and his people, his people that would have been, when they take stories to the papers and stuff, do you think they disliked the fact that Harry started to turn his image around? Do you think they'd have been quite annoyed that he became the Invictus guy, like you said?
I don't even think it was the fact it was turning around. He'd become more popular. Like there was a
people
period
identified with him more.
Where at the beginning of
they
Megan
want
and
fun
Harry,
people,
where they were more popular than Kate and Will, and I think for them they were like, but he's going to be king, so we need him to shine the brightest. So whether he was having an affair or not, I can definitely buy into the fact that whether Will was behind it or not, that his people wanted to change Harry being seen as better than Will.
They'd always relied on having Harry as the bad one. Then he was the good one, and they needed to make him the bad one again.
It'd be the same about Will. There'll be a lot of people.
Here comes racism.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that would speak positively of Will, but everything I've heard about Prince Harry from people even like Dave Grohl, right, who he said when Harry approached him to do the Invictus Games, he basically used every ounce of his position to get himself backstage at whatever show it was the Foo Fighters were doing, and then basically just cornered Dave Grohl and was like, I'd love for you to headline the Invictus Games, told him what it was, and he said immediately, I was like, the Prince of England is asking me to do something, so I'm going to do it. And he said, and obviously it was a good cause, but everything you hear about him was that he was constantly leveraging his position to do good things, and I'm sure William does exactly the same, and he has through mental health stuff as well. But yeah, it wouldn't shock me if jealousy has played a massive part, and also potentially covering something up. Maybe. But yeah, and I think it was very easy to introduce racism into it. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't difficult for it to go that way.
So dead, ill, or cheating?
Cheating. I'm going for cheating. What about you?
I think I'm torn. My head says ill.
Yeah.
I don't. Dead seems like a step too far. Possible. Yeah. They're all plausible.
Yeah.
But my heart wants it to be the cheating.
Normally, when someone dies in the royal family, though, there's not a gap between the death. Like with the Queen, there's a suspicion that she probably passed away the night before, but they decided to leave it until the next morning to announce it to the world and stuff. But in general, there's not that sort of length of pause between a royal person's passing and the announcement. The only logical reason that would be the case now is if she died of non-natural causes.
If there's one thing we can say about the royal family currently, is that their PR team is not firing on all cylinders.
No,
so
and they're probably not going to go.
And if they are firing on all cylinders, what's a shoddy piece of shit?
You need to look into getting some...
you need to upgrade.
Yeah, you need to get some different people. Absolutely.
We're available.
Would you?
I'd have a go.
You wouldn't work for...
I'd have a go.
You'd work for...
If the pay was
Royals?
good enough, I'd have a go at the PR.
What does that mean, though? Put a number on it. I want to know what your number is to work for the Royals.
To work for the Royals, I would be wanting at least...
To deal with this situation. To solve it for them. And
I would be wanting...
For us to take it on.
I would be wanting at least 120k a year.
Wow. Fair. I thought you were going to go for a
much
hefty...
higher.
I thought maybe a mil. I thought you might...
Look. Is
that per person?
I know. No. I know we joke a lot.
Yeah.
About me being like obscenely rich and stuff, but
that
I
would
genuinely know a
life-changing.
life-changing amount of money when I see it coming into my bank account every month.
Look, that's why I've said in the past it would be so difficult. Like I've been honest, and you have as well. Of like, if a Qatari company had said to us during the World Cup, "Here's 100 grand, we want you to cover the World Cup for us," it would have been. Fuck it, like what do you do? Because that is a life-changing sum of money. So yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I'd go along with that.
What would
I'd
be
take
your
60k
figure?
to go and.
I think it should be 120 each.
Oh, it is each.
I think it should be each. Do you not
yeah,
think?
That's even better.
It's a lot. Like it's a big.
Yeah, 120 grand is.
Once you take off tax off that as well, because obviously.
Yeah, that's the point.
Everything over like
40% of the over the 40.
Yeah, what is it? 40k
like
the
40,
cap at the
45,
moment.
Yeah.
So we're giving away
a good 40% of
£80,000. Straight away, we're losing 40% of that.
Yeah, so you're losing about 30 grand, then, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
So we get about 90k each post tax.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
So you're losing just over 30.
Maybe 150 each. I feel like that's 300k for the two of us. That feels like a.
And look, all I'm saying is, will we be amazing at it? Maybe. I think we've got potential, but will we be better than they've currently got?
The problem is, right, I absolutely believe an organisation like ours could work wonders
for the palace,
for the image of the palace. That's not even just us. I think any left-leaning, like comedic outfit could probably do a good job with the palace if you like market it the right way. If they're on board with it, that's the big thing. Like they have to be on board with a big brand change. Do you know what I mean? We're going big.
No more sleeping around. Those gone.
Well, no, look, you could just don't get women pregnant, all right? That's the mistake every time from these men.
Slap a Johnny on.
Thank you. Just wear it. Don't be stupid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, don't be
a fool. Wrap your tool.
Yeah, don't be a prick. Wrap your stick or whatever. Yeah.
Any one of them. Like, just... And like, I might want to slap Will with a glove just once to be like, come on, man.
Slap him with a condom so he knows what they look like.
Yeah, or used one.
I volunteer.
The hilarious thing is, us talking about all of this in this episode would probably stop us ever getting any.
They could do a lot worse than us. And I'll tell you how I know they could do a lot worse than us.
They are.
They're doing it, yeah.
But no, I think we could do a good job. I
think we could.
I would do what the government is trying to do, but better, which is memes.
Oh, it's going to kick out foreigners or something. Okay, yeah.
No, like, that is a weird thing that's going on at the moment, by the way.
Labour, by the way, are really getting into the memes, yeah.
No, but the Conservatives started it. I feel
did they?
Like they were, like, memeing it hard on Twitter, and I find it... I don't like it with politics.
Thing is, I would just lean into all the weird shit about the family.
Yeah, I think it's different with the royals, but like particularly with politics, I don't think it works. For me, I think it says a lot when my opinion's changing the royal. Politics is more serious. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the genuine order of the day. These are the day-to-day
These are, whereas the
issues.
royals are ceremonial and
We
fancy.
shouldn't be making light of them by doing memes. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. But like with the royals, like,
ceremonial
it's
and fancy,
family
and it's
drama.
different.
It's the Kardashians, but with jewels. Do you know what I mean? That's what
Well, yeah, with
when
titles,
you boil it down.
I think they probably got jewels.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think we could do. I think I wouldn't explicitly come out and say like.
Do you know who I'd really want to work with? Harry and Meghan. They're the two that I'd like to work with.
But they don't need our help.
No, they don't. They don't. I think that Meghan, there is some rehabilitation to be done with Meghan. The general consensus is that Harry's a good guy, Meghan's stuck up and aloof. So I think there's work to be done with Meghan.
I think your work there involves dialing down the racism in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. But like in terms of,
I mean, you say absolutely. That's a big undertaking that you've just completely gone. Yeah, that's fine. No.
We shame the public to do
not
that.
An issue.
That's easy to do. You shame the public in that. You know what I mean? Ram slavery.
Okay, I've got an idea. Right, it's out there, but go with me.
Okay.
What about if
we
we make every person in the country experience life as a black person, and we do that by getting them all to blackface? It's so crazy, right? It's one of them. It's so crazy.
It's covert. It's so on the nose it will fly under the radar. If we do a national campaign telling everyone to black up, I can't see the problem with that. But the secret to that is they've all got to get like harassed and treated shittily by the police and shit like that just for a day, just to see. Or like they've got to apply for a job. They've got to go for job interviews.
That'll be the easiest part though, is convincing the police to attack anyone in blackface.
Yeah, true. Oh, it's everyone now. That makes it a lot easier.
I just want to be very clear. I don't support blackface. I don't condone blackface.
Absolutely.
Or blacking up or any of that cultural appropriation in any way.
No.
Because you kind of got to be clear on that stuff now, right?
You do. You do have to.
You can't just be sarcastic and leave it.
I know. That is something that annoys me. Is that like so many times when I'm trying to make a point or like because like sometimes like, we'll talk about someone like Andrew Tate, for example. And there might be something within Andrew Tate that I want to discuss, or like I might even think he has a point on. But you have to caveat it with he's a scum man. But we should be able to have conversations about a nugget of an idea, even if it's...
For me, I'm a very sarcastic person. And a lot of the stuff I say is not serious.
Yeah, and like we're a current events comedy podcast, I would call ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Like so... And like, and we've had this discussion before that I feel like the context when people are having a discussion like of what's the tone of the conversation or what's the tone of what they're doing. If they're a comedian, they're on stage, I would take anything that comes out of their mouth
with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard so many comedians say, "I don't even believe what I'm saying up there. I just thought of something that sounded funny and
said it." And
that sometimes as far as it goes for them. So it's sort of the same with this. Do you know what I mean? Like you didn't have in your notes make joke about doing black. Do you know what I mean? Like
that would be. I mean, if I did have really that in my notes, would that be weird? That would be. Really we'd have crossed the line, right? Yeah. No, then I didn't have it in my notes.
Because how did you even know that was going to be relevant?
No, just some things you just want to shoehorn into a conversation. That's not one of them. That wasn't in my notes.
No,
that wasn't in my notes.
I think we've done a pod, bro.
Genuinely, I think all that was in my notes was just to remind myself to wish everyone a good luck embarking on Ramadan.
Yeah, is it? No, it's not Eid Mubarak, isn't it? That's a different.
I don't know enough about the Muslim faith.
No, me neither. So we won't, because I don't want to offend anybody. But we will. Do you know what? That's something
Eid might be the celebration at the end of Ramadan.
Yeah,
I don't know. Shall I Google it? Just because we're
Let's
saying
educate
it.
The people.
We're saying it. We can't just leave that shit.
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind having someone of the Islamic faith on just to like pick their brain. Do you know what I mean? Because, it was weird. I was having a discussion with someone recently where they were talking about, like, people say Islam's a peaceful religion. He was making this argument against it. And I was like, look, the problem is, though, we know of any faith, there's extreme doctrine within it. But also that in a modern society, most people that follow a faith are moderate enough. Like, there are more than enough moderate Muslims for us to know that we don't need to be concerned about Muslims. Do you know what I mean? There's as many dangerous Christians and other faiths.
Way more dangerous Christians
in
this part of the world.
Than there are Islamic people, as far as I'm concerned.
So Eid is a celebratory feast,
At
and
the
it does
Ramadan.
traditionally follow the end of Ramadan.
Nice. So it's too early to say it yet, as we're only at the
start.
early stages.
I was reading as well someone I follow online who was like, they were like, every year just before Ramadan, they wean themselves off coffee.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And they were like, I didn't do it this year. And they were like, and I'm going to get so many fucking headaches in the first week.
Yeah, but there's some days where I'll not have had caffeine.
But you can't smoke either.
Oh, shit.
That's part of it. Because my Muslim colleague, I was like, I haven't seen you had a cigarette break for a while.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's part of it. I can't.
That's haram.
I was like, shit, man, that is tough.
Yeah.
Because a lot of smokers kind of get by on the food thing.
That's the challenge of it, isn't it? That's the whole...
Yeah, it's testing yourself to a certain...
Yeah, absolutely. But no, guys, good luck with your Ramadan and go smash it. We believe in you.
And find Kate. Kate, if you're listening...
Please get in contact
blink
with us.
Twice for danger.
We can help you, Kate. We promise. And do you know what?
Cough
if
once.
they do get divorced, I'd still take her on as our first PR client. I'll handle their PR.
And if they do get divorced, I'll take her on.
Yeah. And then we'll handle her case.
Yeah, no, I will ask her out. She'll probably say yes. I assume that's what... Because, come on.
Look at the package.
She's got eyes.
Yeah.
I've got butlers that can pleasure her. She knows that.
Yeah. She
listens. She listens to the pod because that's how we'll find her.
Yeah.
Through this podcast.
Yeah. Could you imagine if we're who she reached out to?
I would absolutely. Would you believe it if you had like a Kate Middleton at hotmail.com
even if she like FaceTimed me, I would still be sat there like, nah, this is deep fake. Someone like the Britney filters on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That like I'll be like, can you shake the camera a little bit, so I can just see if the veneer falls down. But guys, let us know if you find Kate. Get in contact, and we'll see you soon.
And tell us on the socials where she is.
Yeah, we did the socials a little bit ago, so we're all good.
So go back and listen. We're not doing all the work for you.
No, never. You know that's not what we do.
I barely do some of the work.
Exactly. Me either.
I barely turn up most weeks.
Yeah, but you still do.
You could have cut before that, before I made my confessions of how shit I am.
And I'm going to end it now.
Yeah, bye.